All right, we're wrapping up now. Let's go to the front. We'll start with Matati, the leader, and then we'll come to you, Chet. Let's start with
We see you, Chet. Yep.
What kind of rep are you hoping for? The reason I'm asking this, I think today for everybody's good to have a result where after a match
Yeah. I prefer not to talk about the refs. I think what's happening is in the country is sad. It is sad. And like I said, I've had an opportunity to watch the Highlands Park match. Before I was asked about my comment on the offside goal, and I hadn't seen the clips. So, of course, clear offside. The situation with Mabasa, I told the players yesterday I take a little bit of the blame with his two-footed tackle because I asked for a fight, and the boy misinterpreted what I asked for. So I blame myself. I said to them they must fight. So the boy goes and he makes a two-footed tackle on Nulindo very early, and he could easily have been sent off. And I said yesterday to them, I said it was a red card. We have to be honest with our assessment, because if we are not honest, then the players look at us and say, what type of leader do we have? And they then question your credibility. I've been very vocal about this, and I've said, and I will not speak about the referees. I will not talk about the referees. They make mistakes, and everybody makes mistakes. But I think what is happening is a clear signal for assistance. They are crying out for help. I don't know what help that is. It could be technological. It could be add more resources to it. I don't know what it is, but what is happening is the referees are crying out for help. I don't know whether it's deliberate also, but the cry is very loud. They need help, and they need support at this moment. They don't need us to be bashing them. They need our support at this moment.
Good afternoon, Coach.
Good afternoon, Vay.
Yeah. I just want to go back to what you said about Chiefs, them doing this for him, and then looking at your side. In the last 6 matches, it was the second clean sheet in your this league. What did you say about the defensive organization of the team, the defense, because you have let in a number of goals, and how does that affect your approach coming up against a team like this? And also, you spoke about Coach Miller earlier. You have someone in your team who you refer to as a protege of Miller. I'm sure you're picking up, not that you're going to pick up his brain, but I'm sure it's very effective. This we can also talk next week in Coach Fadlu.
Yeah, Coach Fadlu is part of our technical team, an important part of our technical team. And of course, like you say, he's got a lot of background with regards to having worked with Coach Middendorp. But we do the normal work. The entire technical team works very hard to try and make sure that we pick up certain details with regards to each and every single opponent, and that goes into all the other members of the technical team, be it Darian, be it Michael, Kyle, our analysts. They also play a huge role in that. So we go in not blindly. We go in trying to make sure that we pick up as much data as we can, as much information with regards to the opposition as we can. Because times move. Ernst has come back from, I don't want to say, tourism. No, it's not. But he came back from Thailand, and no, not honeymoon. No, honeymoon you must get married first. So he didn't. He wasn't there to get married. But he went for a learning expedition. You can call it that, because to go to a different backgrounds and different cultures, you come back and you can see even with his persona. He comes from Asia now. He's a little bit more Usa. you know. You you can see he's a little bit more chilled, you know, and he's a completely different personality of Ernst that we see now. So obviously there's been also that has happened with him, that evolution that has taken place personally, and maybe that's got to do with the culture and the background that he spent a bit of time in for the last couple of years. So and the things that he's also picked up in those environments, you try and check them and see, because of the flexibility and how the team plays, you can also pick that up. With regards to us, our defensive organization, how we attack informs how we defend, and that's the most important part. We don't isolate our phases of play. We try to make sure that we're not too controlled with regards to the movements and our offensive schemes. But we have to be able to be in positions where when we do lose the ball, we are able to assist the team to defend. And then we've got different phases of our defense and defensive schemes, and we go through different criteria or different phases. But our players know, and our offensive players know, that they form a very important part of making sure that we defend better and we keep better clean sheets. And you could see even against Highlands, when we do lose the ball, you see the first people to engage are your offensive players, and that's why sometimes, like I said earlier, as coaches, we've got to take a bit of the responsibility, because that's why a lot of our players have got bookings. You know, our offensive players have got a lot of bookings because they engage in the first phase of breakdown of play.
How is your strategy going to inform your defense? How is it going to inform your approach against this quality?
No, I don't. Obviously there's certain strengths that you've got to control. Obviously there's certain patterns that they regularly work on, and you can see how they repeat themselves in every match. But be that as it may, I think we don't alter much. We don't change much in our way of working. We try to be as custom made as possible. Try to make sure that when we prepare the team for everybody. And that means you've got to have certain principles within your game forms. And once you do that, then you can continue to move even when you have injuries like we've had this season. And whoever plays the game model, the style and the approach remains consistent regardless of who's on the pitch.
Okay, let's go to my sister.
Hi, my name is Orlando from Soweto TV. I think you've answered some of the questions that I had. Coach, we've seen what is going on with Orlando Pirates also happening globally in terms of your Manchester United, Mourinho, and your Frank Lampard. And that doesn't make you a bad coach, knowing that you're struggling a little bit with the combination. But how would you sum up your stay as a coach of the head coach of the Orlando Pirates?
It's been educational. It's been extremely challenging, of course, and I didn't expect it to be easy. But it's been one that has stretched me, not just from a knowledge perspective, because I'm fortunate enough that I've got a lot of support from that regard. I've been invited again to go, and I said I made an example with regards to Klopp when he arrived at Liverpool, you know, and in December I've been invited again to go and spend a bit more time with them. So obviously to share my experiences and to also try and find out how he survived and how he kept going in that moment when he arrived and the results were not coming, but you could see a little bit the foundation that was being laid. And like you've already made reference to, and sometimes we make it too much about the coach in this country. You know, look at Man United, a big club, resourceful club, and after Sir Alex Ferguson left, they had Moyes, they had Van Gaal, they had Mourinho, and now they have Ole. And the reality is, it sometimes is not always about the coach. Obviously, There are certain things that the coach needs to try to tweak and change and try to make sure that even through the difficulty, the team continues to go through and maintain its status as a big club. And that's what we know. We have to maintain our status as a big club. And sometimes that is to compromise, like against Highlands Park, that is to compromise a little bit the identity and play for the result, because the moment you sacrifice results first as a big club, then you sacrifice your status as a big club. So we know about that, and we try to make sure that we are consistent with regards to our approach with regards to that. But I know Steve Kompela always speaks about the 4 stages, and they are important. And if you look at where Orlando Pirates is and try to identify where Pirates is or was at the end of last season, moved into the preseason with a huge transition of 15 players and 15 important players that left us, and then 10 new players coming in, and then losing Mitchell. You then understand when we speak of forming, storming, norming, and performing, and you move to adjourning and you restart the cycle, you can then find out where Pirates is and why Pirates is where it is in that stage. So it's when you put it into context and when you understand the transitions and you move through the different cycles and the different phases of any team dynamics. Go to Real Madrid with Zinedine Zidane. What happened at the beginning of the season? 6 new players came in and a huge overload of players left, and they're trying to find consistency in their game forms and all of that, and at the same time the expectation is to get results. So you've got to be wary of where you are, try to move within the cycle, but also try to be very understanding of why you are where you are, because sometimes you can try to be a little bit too ahead of yourself and not understanding the cycles and the stages. And we know, we are clear in our minds, we are in our understanding where we are in those stages, that we moved from that performing and finished very strong towards the end of the season. There was an adjourning with players coming in and coming out, and now we form a new cycle. So as you move from forming, you then go into storming, and you can't skip stages. You've got to, it's a process, and you've got to believe and trust in the process, and understand that from the storming, things will normalize, and as soon as things normalize, you'll get into your performance stage again. So you've got to carry your team through the different cycles and make sure that, like I said earlier, you're not the same coach in the different cycles. Once you get into the storming phase, you've got to be a different personality and be the right type of coach that the team needs at that time. I think there's two sides to answering that. One is obviously in terms of group dynamics, trying to make sure that we give everybody game time, and we try to keep everybody happy. It's a big squad, and when you've got a big squad, you've got to try to manage the big squad, and part of managing that is try to give minutes to everybody. And not only Dube came on, but I think it's now 24 with Mabaso. Abel Mabaso came on as a sub for his first appearance, and we try to manage the squad by making sure that we give everybody minutes. And the other side is a side that you've never heard me talk about, is our injury list. We've had a lot of injuries this season, and it's not something, we don't complain about it, because we prepare everybody for when we go into preseason, when we train, we do certain things in a certain way to build principles in our game forms and make sure that everybody that has to partake into the match comes in and knows what needs to be done. So it's two parts. It's from a tactical perspective and a psychological one, because it's important while we're going through what we are going through to try and manage the dynamics within the group. But the other one is we've had a lot of injuries this season, and if I can give you the list, we'll be here until tomorrow. We've had a lot of injuries, but you don't hear us talking about it because we don't complain about injuries. We've got a big squad. We soldier on and we move on, and we don't complain and make excuses. Yeah, it's the normal routine. It's the normal routine. We go through our analysis. We go through our preparation. They say proper preparation eliminates fear, and that's it. And psychologically, once you are properly prepared, you know you're going to face, and when you face those same pictures and the scenarios that you are prepared for, already psychologically the brain gives you certain chemicals that allow you to then go into the match with a lot of confidence, and that's how we prepare for most of our matches, to make sure that the players know the pictures, the players know the cues, the triggers, and the players are aware of some of the responsibilities that they've got to carry out onto the pitch. And once they're prepared properly, then it's easier for them to deal with the different scenarios within the pitch.
All right, thank you very much, Coach. We're going to end it here.